वासुदेवाय. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Srila Gurudev, Jai Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Translation. Shaunaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthira, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the greatest of all men of religion. Thus he was not at all inclined to fight with the cousins for the sake of enjoying the kingdom. He fought for the right cause because the kingdom of Hastinapur was his rightful inheritance and his cousins wanted to usurp it for themselves. He fought therefore for the right cause under the guidance of Lord Shri Krishna. But he could not enjoy the results of his victory because his cousins were all killed in the fight. He therefore ruled over the kingdom as a matter of duty, assisted by his younger brothers. The inquiry was important for Shaunaka Rishi, who wanted to know about the behavior of Maharaj Yudhishthira when he was at ease to enjoy the kingdom. Text 2. Srila Sutta Goswami said, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaj Yudhishthira in his own kingdom and after restoring Kuru's dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The world is compared to the forest fire caused by the cohesion of bamboo bushes. Such a forest fire takes place automatically, for bamboo cohesion occurs without external cause. Similarly, in the material world, the wrath of those who want to lord it over the material nature interacts, and the fire of the war takes place, exhausting the unwanted population. Such fires of wars takes place, and the Lord has nothing to do with them. But because he wants to maintain the creation, he desires the mass of people to follow the right path of self-realization, which establishes the living being to enter into the kingdom of God. The Lord wants the suffering human being to come back home, back to him, and cease to suffer the threefold material pangs. The whole plan of the creation is made in that way, and one who does not come to his senses suffers in the material worlds by pangs inflicted by the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord therefore wants his bona fide representative to rule the world. Lord Shri Krishna descended to establish this sort of regime and to kill the unwanted persons who have nothing to do with his plan. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of the Lord, so that undesirable persons could get out of the world and peaceful kingdom under his devotees could be established. The Lord was therefore fully satisfied when King Yudhishthira was on the throne and the seedling of the dynasty of Kuru in person of Maharaj Parikshit was saved. Next 3. Maharaj Yudhishthira, after being enlightened by what was spoken by Bhishma Dev and Lord Shri Krishna, the infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge because of all his misgivings were eradicated. Thus he ruled over the earth and seas was followed by his younger brothers. The modern English law of primogeniture, let me check what's that. Primogeniture, the system in which only the eldest child, especially the eldest son, receives all the property when the father dies, or the law of inheritance by the firstborn, was also prevalent in those days when Maharaj Yudhishthira ruled the earth and seas. In those days, the king of Hastinapur, now a part of Delhi, was the emperor of the world, including the seas up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Maharaj Yudhishthira's younger brother were acting as his ministers and commanders of state. there was fully cooperation between the perfected religious brothers of the king. Maharaj Yudhishthir was the ideal king or representative of Lord Shri Krishna to rule over the kingdom of earth, and was comparable to King Indra, the representative ruler of the heavenly planets. The demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and Vayu are representative kings of different planets of the universe. Similarly, Maharaj Yudhishthir was one of them, ruling over the kingdom of earth. Maharaj Yudhishthir was not a typically unenlightened political leader of modern democracy. Maharaj Yudhishthir was instructed by Bhishma Dev and the infallible Lord also, and therefore he had full knowledge of everything in perfection. The modern elected executive head of a state is just like a puppet because he has no knowingly power. Even if he is enlightened like Maharaj Yudhishthir, he cannot do anything out of his own goodwill due to his constitutional position. Therefore, there are so many states over the earth quarreling because of the ideological differences or other selfish motives. But a king like Maharaj Yudhishthir had no ideology of his own. He had but to follow the instruction of the infallible Lord and the Lord's representative and the authorized agent Bhishma Dev. It is instructed in the Shastras that one should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. Therefore, it is possible for Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule the whole world, including seas, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of the one world state can be fulfilled if we can follow the infallible authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology accepted to everyone. Only the perfect and the infallible can create a program which is applicable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. It is the person who rules and not the impersonal government. If the person is perfect, the government is perfect. If the person is a fool, the government is a fool's paradise. If the person is fool, the government is a fool's paradise. That's the law of nature. There are so many stories of imperfect kings or executive heads. Therefore, the executive heads must be trained person like Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he must have the full autocratic means leadership style system of government characterized absolute power concentrated on one person. Okay, autocratic power to rule over the world. The conception of a world state can take shape only under the regime of a perfect king like Maharaj Yudhishthir. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule over the world. Text 4. During the reign of Maharaja Yudhishthir, the cloud showered all the water. The cloud shower all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of men in profusion. Due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. The basic principle of economic development is centered on land and cows. The necessity of human society are food grains, fruits, milk, mineral, clothing, food, wood, etc. One requires all these items to fulfill the material needs of the body. Certainly, one does not require flesh and fish or iron tools and machinery. During the time of Maharaj Yudhishthir, all over the world, there were regulated rainfalls. Rainfalls are not in control of the human being. The heavenly king Indradev is the controller of rain, and he is a servant of the Lord. When the Lord is obeyed by the king, and the people, under the king's administration, there are regulated rains from the horizon, and these rains are causes of all varieties of production on the land. Not only do regulated rains help ample production of grains and fruits, but when they combine with astronomical influences, there is ample production of valuable stone and pearls. Grains and vegetables can sumptuously feed a man and animal, and a fatty cow delivers enough milk to supply a man sumptuously with a vigor and vitality. With vigor and vitality. If there is enough milk, enough grains, enough fruit, enough cotton, enough silk, and enough jewels, then why do the people need cinemas, house of prostitution, slaughterhouses, etc.? What is the need of an artificial luxury life of cinema, cars, radio, flesh, and hotels? Has the civilization produced anything but quarreling individually and nationally? Has the civilization enhanced the quality of equality and fraternity by sending thousands of men into the hellish factory and the war field at whims of a particular man? Amazing questions. Srila Prabhupada asking here. It is said here that cows used to moisten the pasturing land with milk because their milk bags were fatty and the animals were joyful. They do not require therefore proper protection for a joyful life by being fed with a sumptuous quantity of grass in the field. Why should man kill cows for these selfish purposes? Why should man not be satisfied with grains, fruits, and milk, which combined together can produce hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes? Why are there slaughterhouses all over the world to kill the innocent animals? Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, while torturing the vast kingdom, saw a black man attempting to kill a cow. The king at once arrested the butcher and chastised him sufficiently. Should not a king or executive head protect the lives of the poor animals who are unable to defend them? Is this humanity? Are not the animals of the country citizens also? Then why are they allowed to be butchered in organized slaughterhouses? Are these the signs of equality, fraternity, and non-violence? Wow. Therefore, in contrast with modern advanced civilized form of government, and autocracy like Maharaj Yudhishthir is by far superior to a so-called democracy in which animals are killed and a man less than an animal is allowed to cast votes for another less than an animal man. We are all creatures of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Lord Himself is the seed-giving Father and the material nature is the mother of all living beings in all shapes. Thus, no mother material nature has enough foodstuff both for animals and for men. By the grace of the Father Almighty Shri Krishna, the human being is the elder brother of all other living beings. He is endowed with intelligence more powerful than animals for realizing the course of nature and the indications of Almighty Father. Human civilization should depend on the production of material nature without artificially attempting economic development to turn the world into a chaos of artificial greed and power only for the purpose of artificial luxuries and sense gratification. This is but the life of dogs and hogs. Text 5. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and active drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profusion. Since Maharaj Yudhishthir was under the protection of Ajita, the infallible Lord, as above mentioned, the proprietors, the properties of the Lord, namely rivers, oceans, hills, forests, etc., were all pleased. They used to supply their respective quota to taxes to the king. The secret to success is to take refuge under the protection of the Supreme Lord. Without His sanction, nothing is possible. To make economic development by our own endeavors on the strength of tools and machinery is not all. The sanction of the Supreme Lord must be there. Otherwise, despite all instrumental arrangements, everything will be unsuccessful. The ultimate cause of the success is the Daiva, the Supreme Kings like the ultimate cause of success is the Dev, the Supreme. The kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir knew perfectly well that the king is the agent of the Supreme Lord to look after the welfare of mass of people. Actually, the state belonged to the Supreme Lord. The rivers, oceans, forests, hills, drugs, etc. are not creations of men. They are all creations of the Supreme Lord. And the living being is allowed to make use of the property of the Lord for the service of the Lord. Today's slogan is that everything is for the people and therefore the government is for the people and by the people, but to produce a new species of humanity at present moment on the basis of God consciousness and perfection of human life, the ideology of godly communism. The world has to follow in the footsteps of king like Maharaj Yudhishthir or Parikshit. There is enough of everything by the will of the Lord, and we can make proper use of things to live comfortably without enmity between man and man, or man and animal, or man and nature. The control of the Lord is everywhere, and if the Lord is pleased, every part of nature will be pleased. The river will flow profusely to fertile the land. The oceans will supply sufficient quantities of minerals, pearls, and jewels. The forest will supply sufficient wood, drugs, and vegetables, and the seasonal changes will effectively help produce fruits and flowers in profuse quantity. The artificial way of living depending on factories and tools can render so-called happiness only to a limited number at the cost of millions. Since the energy of the mass of people is engaged in factory production, the natural products are being hampered, and for this mass is unhappy. Without being educated properly, the mass of people are following in the footsteps of the vested interest by exploiting natural reserves, and therefore the acute competition between man and individual and nation. There is no control by the trained agent of the Lord. We must look into defects of the modern civilization by comparison here, and should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Yudhishthir to cleanse men and wipe out anachronism. What's anachronism? Anachronism means a person or custom that seemed old-fashioned and does not belong to the present. Something that does not belong to the period of history. Okay. So supposing cleanse men. Okay, and wipe out. Okay, something which does not belong to society, that is killing of animals. And text 6. Because of the kings having no money, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by mental agonies, diseases, or excessive heat or cold. Srila Prabhupada's purport: to be non-violent to human beings and to be a killer or enemy of the poor animals is Satan's philosophy. In this age, there is enmity towards poor animals, and therefore the poor creatures are always anxious. The reactions of the poor animals can be forced on human society, and therefore there is always a strain of cold, of hot war between men, individually, collectively, or nationally. At the time of Maharaj Yudhishthir, there were no different nations. Although there were different subordinate states, the whole world was united, and the supreme head, being trained like King Yudhishthira, kept all the inhabitants free from anxiety, diseases, excessive heat, and cold. They were not only economical well-to-do, but also physically fit and undisturbed by supernatural power, by enmity from other living beings, and by disturbance of bodily and mental agonies. There is a proverb in Bengali that a bad king spoils the kingdom and a bad housewife spoils the family. The truth is applicable here also, because the king was pious and obedient of the Lord and the sages, because he was no one's enemy, and because he was recognized agent of the Lord and therefore protected by him. All the citizens under king's protection were, so to speak, directly protected by the Lord and his authorized agents. Unless one is pious and recognized by the Lord, he cannot make others happy who are under his care. This is the full cooperation between man, God, and man and nature. And this conscious cooperation between man and God and man and nature, as exemplified by Maharaj Yudhishthira, can bring about happiness, peace, prosperity in the world. The attitude of exploiting one another, the custom of the day, will only bring misery. Text 7. Sri Hari. Lord Sri Krishna resided at Hastinapur for a few months to pacify his relatives and please his own sister Subhadra. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Krishna, I want to see the shloka. Siva Hastinapure. Sorry, not Bengali. O Siva Hastinapure Masan Kati Payan Hari suhridam cha vishukaya savascha priyakamaya. Swasuh, sister. Okay. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada's Prabhupada, Krishna was to start for Dwarka, his own kingdom, after the battle of Kurukshetra and Yudhishthira being enthroned, but to oblige the request of Maharaj Yudhishthira and to show special mercy to Bhishma Dev, Lord Krishna stopped at Hastinapur, the capital of the Pandavas. The Lord decided to stay specially to pacify the aggrieved king and as well as to please Subhadra, sister of Lord Shri Krishna. Subhadra was specially to be pacified because she lost her only son Abhimanyu, who was just married. The boy left his wife Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit. The Lord is always pleased to satisfy his devotee in any capacity. Only his devotees can play the parts of his relatives. The Lord is absolute. Text 8. Afterwards, when the Lord asked permission to depart and the king gave it, the Lord offered his respect to Maharaj Yudhishthira by bowing down at his feet. The king embraced him. After this, the Lord, being embraced by others and receiving their obeisances, got into his chariot. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the elder cousin of Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore, while departing from him, Lord bowed down at the king's feet. The king embraced him as a younger brother, although the king knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord takes pleasure when some of his devotees accept him as less important in terms of love. No one is greater than or equal to the Lord, but he takes pleasure in being treated as younger than his devotees. These are all transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The impersonalists cannot enter into the supernatural roles played by devotees of the Lord. Thereafter, Bhima and Arjuna embraced the Lord because they were of the same age. But Nakula and Sahadev bowed down before the Lord because they were younger than he. Okay. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is the eldest, then Bhima and Arjuna are the same age, and Krishna is also the same age, and Nakula Sahadev are younger. 9 and 10. At that time, Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Uttara, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yujutsu, Kripyachara, Nakula, Sahadev, Bhishma, Dhaumya, Satyavati all nearly fainted because it was impossible for them to bear separation from Lord Shri Krishna. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Virata, Tanaya, Tatha, Gandhari, Dhritarashtrascha, Yujutsu, Gautamo, Yamo, Vrikrodarascha Dhumascha Seyo Matsya Sutodaya Nasere Vimyanto Virham Sarangadvanaha. I was thinking, Dhaumya. Who is Dhaumya? Feel like he was on the opposite side. How is he here? Dhaumya. Okay, he's a sage. Okay, no problem. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Shri Krishna is so attractive. Hare Krishna. Lord Shri Krishna is so attractive for the living beings, especially for the devotees, that it is impossible for them to tolerate separation. The conditioned soul, under the spell of illusory energy, forgets the Lord, otherwise he cannot. The feeling of such separation cannot be described, but it can simply be imagined by devotees only. After his separation from Vrindavan and the innocent rural cowherd boys, girls, ladies and others, they all felt shocked throughout their lives. And the separation of Srimati Radharani, the most beloved cowherd girl, is beyond expression. Once they met at Kurukshetra during a solar eclipse, and the feeling which was expressed by them is heartrending. What's heartrending? I know it's painful, but making you feel very sad. There is, of course, a difference in qualities of the transcendental devotees of the Lord, but none of them who have ever contacted the Lord by direct communion or otherwise can leave him for a moment. That is the attitude of a pure devotee. Text 11 and 12. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees have become freed from bad materialistic association, can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, and sleeping, sitting, and dining with him. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving the superior. He is obliged to serve by force of delicates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification, and in serving the senses he is never tired. Even though he may be tired, the illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. There is no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. The release is only affected by association with pure devotees, but such association one is gradually promoted to transcendental consciousness. Thus he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord and not to the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. Material society, friendship and love are all different phases of lust. Okay. The release is only effected by association with pure devotees. By such association one is gradually promoted to transcendental consciousness. He can know that his eternal position is to render service to the Lord and not to the perverted senses of material, society, friendship, love are all different phases of lust. Home, country, family, society, wealth and all sorts of corollaries are all causes of bondage in the material world, where threefold miseries of life are concomitant factors. It's concomitant. Concomitant means describes things that happens, exist, are connected simultaneously, often following as a consequence of one another. Okay. By associating with pure devotees and by hearing them submissively, attachment for material enjoyment becomes slackened, and attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord become prominent. A similar purport is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita 2:5. By associating with pure devotees and hearing them submissively, attachment for material enjoyment becomes slackened, and attraction for hearing about the transcendental activities of the Lord becomes more prominent. Pure devotee and masters. Once they are, they will go on progressively without stoppage, like fire in gunpowder. It is said that Hari, the personality of God, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and are factually liberated from all material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. Under the circumstances, it is easily understood that what must have been the position of Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Lord Shri Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. His remembrance of his form, quality, name, fame, pastimes, etc. is also attractive for the pure devotee, so much so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord for a moment. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Gurudev. We'll continue from text.